Hi folks, and welcome to our Revere show, Revere Veterans and Community. Today we have a special great guest. He's a pillar of the community. His name is Reverend Nicholas Granitsas. I hope I got that right.
Pretty good.
Reverend, thank you for coming on our show.
It's my pleasure.
You've been with the First Congregational Church, you said, 40 years?
40 years.
I'm going to let you take over and tell us a story about that.
Well, I came here, obviously I was a pretty young guy back in 1974. And I was looking to where I was going to end up, what church I was going to end up being in, and the first time I met the Revere people, I said, "This is where God's going to send me," and I've never doubted that ever since. You know, just had 40 great years here in the city, and I really love the church and I love this community.
And if God is listening, thank you for sending him, because it was great to have you here, sir. When you first came here, you said 40 years ago, 1974.
Yep.
Refresh my memory. Who was the mayor at that time, if you can remember?
Mayor Reinstein.
William Reinstein?
William Reinstein,
yep.
Yes.
And he, like you, did a lot for the community,
yes,
too, having the functions every Thanksgiving.
Yes, he did.
Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And we are approaching Thanksgiving, by the way, and you have a lot to do with it, so why don't you expand on that, too, sir?
Well, on Thanksgiving Day, we have a Thanksgiving dinner that's available for anybody who wants to come. It starts at 11 o'clock and will go till 3 o'clock, so on Thanksgiving Day, anyone welcome to join us.
Is there any age limit?
No age limit.
No income limit?
No income limit, no charge. Just come. Just come and enjoy.
And how long have you been doing that, if I may ask?
We've been doing that for 5 or 6 years.
Right. I attended one of them, by the way, and it's really an honor to go there because you get a lot of volunteers. Can you still use them?
We can use volunteers and we can use contributions. Yes, we can.
Okay. Now, let's say people want to donate contributions and they want to volunteer. How would they contact you?
You can just call the church you want the phone number?
Yes, sir.
781-284-4158.
And if they want to email you?
Granitsas, my name, N, and then GRANITSAS at firstcongrevere.org.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
You'll repeat that later one more time.
Okay, sure.
Because at my age, my memory is not that sharp. By the way, I understand you went to one of the best schools in the country, Harvard University. You studied there.
Yep, yes, I did.
Can you tell us a little history about Harvard, how it first started? Because I believe it wasn't a law school at the beginning.
No. When Harvard was started in 1636, it was started for the sole purpose of training congregational ministers. You know, the Pilgrims had come here, they were Congregationalists, and they knew they couldn't count on the training of the schools in England anymore. They needed their own schools here, so they started this little school called Harvard. And for the first 150 years, that's all it did was train congregational ministers. But by the time I went there, I was one of the only people there that was going to be a congregational minister. You know? So, a lot of the other students had no idea that's how it was started. But,
I'd like to tell you a little joke, if I may, about the Pilgrims that came here for Thanksgiving.
Sure.
You know, the Pilgrims they like to gamble. We people like to gamble. The Indians own the casinos. So when the Pilgrims came here, instead of the Indians giving them turkey and things for staying here, if they gave them a deck of cards and a pair of dice, they would have been gone in 20 minutes back home to the England instead of here. So the Indians might still have had their country.
Oh, gee.
I thought you like a little of that. So tell us about Harvard, because, I mean, it's a seminary school as well.
Well, they have Harvard University includes Harvard College, which I went to, and they also have Harvard Divinity School. I took some courses at Harvard Divinity School when I was an undergraduate, but then later on I went on to a Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary up in South Hamilton. That's where I got my seminary degree in 1974.
Right. Now, I'd like to ask you some questions as a layman, because, you know, I hear certain words like reverend, pastor, minister.
Sure.
Straighten me out on those things. Which is which and what do they really mean?
Okay, so the title Reverend is given to anybody who's ordained, and so that could be any Protestant clergyman, it could be a Catholic, a
rabbi?
Greek Orthodox. Anybody, usually Christian, but ordained person. And then a pastor is simply the person who is the spiritual leader of a church. So that can be Protestant or Catholic. And so in Revere we have, a number of pastors of all Protestant and Catholic, who are the head shepherd of that particular church.
So let me just ask you this question. So like, let's say a rabbi, he would be the pastor of a synagogue.
Yes.
And an imam would be the pastor of his mosque.
Right, but they wouldn't necessarily use the word pastor.
They don't?
They may not. No, they may not. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But it'd be across the board for all the Christian churches.
right. Now, you say you've been talk about Thanksgiving the last 5 or 6 years. How did you first get started with that? Because that is very, very good.
We had a young guy in the church who really was concerned that there were a lot of people who had nowhere to go for Thanksgiving, and people who were by themselves, and he got a vision to have this dinner, and he was just a guy in his early 20s, and he got together some other 20-somethings, and they're the ones that birthed this dinner. But since then, now we get volunteers of all ages, and we get people of all ages coming to celebrate together, and both the volunteers and the people who come all enjoy the time together, you know. And some of the volunteers now, this has become their Thanksgiving tradition to come to do this dinner. You know, they enjoy it so much.
So in other words, any homeless veteran that's out there, any homeless person that has no place where to go on Thanksgiving, they are welcome to come to your church.
Homeless, people at home, anybody can come. Doesn't make any difference, you know. It's not anybody. It's for anybody in the community.
Okay. And what is the address of the First Congregation?
It's 230 Beach Street. It's right on the corner of Beach and School and Central, that big intersection.
Oh, that big intersection there.
Red Church, you can't miss it.
Right, with the big steeple.
The big steeple, can't miss it.
Right. So that's good. And you do this every year?
Every year.
Yes. Let me congratulate you for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
We love doing it.
And before we continue, we give these to veterans. This is the flag of our great country, the United States of America. We give them to veterans. And we give them to community veterans. But you are just more than a community veteran. You're a top of the community veterans for what you do. So,
well, thank you.
On behalf of Revered Veterans and the city.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Right. Now, you also have a family.
I do.
You have a wife. You have kids.
Yes, we do.
Tell us a little about them, what they do.
Well, I've been married to my wife, Joan, for 44 years. She was a stay-at-home mother until 20 years ago, and then she decided to go to college.
At what age?
She was 39 years old. She started to go to college.
Wow.
And she went to Simmons, and she became a nurse, and then she went back and got a master's degree and became a nurse practitioner. And for the last 14 years, she works at TLC Pediatrics right on Beach Street, the practice where Dr. Bornstein had started.
Right.
And so she's a nurse practitioner there, and she really enjoys doing that. And we have all our children are grown. We have 7. We have 4 adopted children, and three natural children. And
before you continue, I'd like to hear their names so we can put them on the air. We got plenty of time.
Okay. Well, the oldest one is Michael, then Wendy, Christy, Jim, Tom, Corey, and Peter.
Lucky 7.
Lucky 7.
My mother has 7 kids, too.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, 7 kids.
Yep.
And then we also, over the course of some years, my wife was a stay-at-home mom, we also took in children. So besides these 7, we took in, over the years, another 28 children. And a lot of them were refugee children. 15 of them were Vietnamese refugee children. 4 of them were Cambodian refugee children. Some of them were local kids that needed a foster home. And we never had more than 12 living with us at once. But over the time, we had all those kids. So it was quite an adventure.
I was going to say that, excuse me, those kids that you, I don't want to use the word adopted, that you took care of, that came from Vietnam, Korea, Cambodia?
Vietnam and Cambodia.
Cambodia. None from Korea or
No.
How did they turn out to be as they grew up?
Oh, most of them have done very well. Most of them done very well, and they're all over. They're coast to coast now. They're all grown up, you know, and it's amazing how many of them have done very well. Had 11 of the kids went to Revere High School, and all have gone on and done well with school and jobs and so forth, and it's really good. So, in fact, a couple of the Vietnamese kids have come on, and they are doing amazing things. They're top engineers working for computer companies, and very successful.
Did you say they're working for computer companies?
Oh yeah.
Can you bring one down to me just to show me?
Believe me, I need them around even to operate my television. So you know.
That's good. And have any of them ever gone into military service too?
Yes, yes. One of my Vietnamese sons served on the Cole. You remember the Cole?
Yeah, that was the ship that got blasted by.
Yes, yes. He was a.
In Yemen, was it?
He was a plank holder on the Cole, and he left the Cole just a couple of months before it got hit. But a lot of his fellow crew members that he knew, were on the crew. Yeah. One of his good friends was killed on that.
Yeah, I think there was 40 some people that got killed on that.
Yeah,
yep.
Decent number. Yeah.
They let the boat get too close to the ship, and then it blew. Yep. I remember that.
That's right.
Yep. Any of them become teachers or ministers or reverends or pastors?
Oh, I got them doing everything.
Do you really?
One of them is a local school teacher. Teaches at the Garfield School. She teaches. That's Corey. She teaches preschool autistic children. Special ed teacher.
That's fantastic.
She loves it. She loves it.
The First Congregational Church that's located on Beach Street. And what's that address again?
230 Beach Street.
230 Beach Street. When did I first get started there? Because, first of all, how old is the church itself?
Okay, well, the original Congregational Church is still standing. The original building is still standing. It was built in 1710, and it's now the Revere Counseling Center.
Oh.
That was the original Congregational Church. We are in the new Congregational Church. Our church building was built in 1849. And then,
and
then in 1884, what they did was they took the sanctuary that was on the first floor and they jacked it up and they built the first floor underneath it. And you can actually see where it was cut in. There's a board right around the church, trim board, which shows where they cut it in. So they jacked that right up. And we have a picture of the before and after. It's quite interesting how they did that.
That's fantastic because that said it was built in 1849.
Yes.
That means it's 165 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
You've been a pastor there, a reverend there, for 40 years.
40 years.
So that's 25% or almost
Oh, gee, I didn't thought about that. That's true.
Yeah, so you've been a reverend there for almost 25% of the life of the church.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
See, my math is not that bad.
Oh, I'll tell you, sharp as can be.
Yep. Well, you spent 27 years in kindergarten, you'll get a one. I thought you like that.
That's great.
Yep.
That's great.
Talk about something that you would like to see the community now. You came on here, and I asked you before we went on, you don't play bingo at the church.
Yep.
No gambling at the church.
Yep.
So how do people, if they want to donate, like new clothes, new things for you, or make donations?
Yeah, we just operate completely on donations.
And they can donate it, just mail it in?
Yep.
And that address is 230?
230 Beach Street.
Yep. Right. So any of you, if you have a lot of loose money laying out there, well, some people do.
Absolutely, sure.
If you have a lot of loose money, even change, send it in to Reverend Nick Granitsas, 230 B Street, First Congregational Church.
Thank you.
I got a little horse on my throat. Maybe that's because I live there, stuff like that. No, I do feel a little hoarse in there.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Hope you feel better.
Donations. What kind of donations would you like the people to donate? And let it go.
Well, okay, so we have a food pantry, and the history of that was back in the early 80s, the clergy got together here trying to start a food pantry. And what was happening was just organizationally, we're getting bogged down trying to get this thing started. So we told them, they said, how about we'll do the food pantry if all of you pledge to support the food pantry. Well, for 31 years, they've all kept their promises. For 31 years, all the churches or faith organizations in Revere have supported the food pantry. So the food pantry is open every Wednesday night from 7 to 8:30. Last year, we served about 1,000 families during the course of the year. And we have volunteers from other churches and or faith organizations come and help us out. And we get donations of money. People do food drives. School groups do food drives. Community organizations do food drives. So we accept food that we can give out in the food pantry, as well as, of course, anybody who wants to give cash gifts. So we use volunteers. We always need volunteers, and we always can use donation of food. So.
Right. Now, I have to ask you this question. A lot of times when you look at the cans, because most of the times you're going to get canned food, there's dates usually on the can. If there's an expiration date, or let's say one day over like let's say today is March the 2nd, and the can says expires March the 3rd or something. Do you still accept those, or do you got to have a certain
We want them within the dates. We don't want them expired.
Okay, so it has to be within the date that's stamped
we
on.
don't want them expired. Yeah, we don't want to take any chance on giving any food that might be questionable.
No, because, a lot of times you hear people say, well, even though it says expire today, it's still good, though. I mean, that's what the company puts out.
We know that, but we get a little concerned because we don't want to have any incident with anybody, getting some bad food.
Okay, and what kind of food would you want them, beside the cans? Like, what else can they give you that are not in cans, such as apples, things?
We don't have too much refrigeration possible, so it's mostly stuff that doesn't have to be refrigerated. If it doesn't have to be refrigerated, we can use it. So we can use cereal, we can use anything like that,
So even the boxes that
right
have dates on them, as long as it's not an expiration date.
That's right.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
And tell us some of the stuff pardon folks, some of the delicious things that you give to the people that come in to eat it. What it consists of.
You're talking about for the Thanksgiving dinner? Or?
Besides, Thanksgiving dinner and then during the year.
Well, the Thanksgiving dinner, you're going to get the full trimmings. It's going to be a full Thanksgiving meal. It's going to be more dessert than you know what to do with, and it's going to be great. But the food pantry, the one good thing that we get to give out to the people besides the canned goods and the box goods and so forth is that Panera Bread. So Panera Bread has a policy where at the end of the night they give away all the food they have in their restaurants. I don't know if anybody knows this, but Panera Bread does that. And so there's one in Everett. And so every night they give out all their food that's left to a different church or food pantry or soup kitchen. And so on one of those nights we get all their food. And we get it the night before our food pantry is open. So we get the nice bread, and a lot of times they have the pastries and everything. Whatever they have, we get. And so some weeks we get a ton, some weeks not so much. But so that's a real nice treat for the people coming to the food pantry, getting some canned goods, and now some nice Panera Bread and some pastries from Panera. Very good, So we're very thankful for Panera Bread for all their help for that over the years.
I can honestly say this to you, Reverend Granitsas. I went to the last two Thanksgiving. I was so full coming out of there, you could hibernate for the winter, really. That's how good, and the food was delicious, I got to be honest with you.
Thank you.
Because my daughters live way up on the boondocks, and for us to travel, at our age now, we just don't do it. Right. So it's nice to have it here, too.
Oh, we're glad.
And I would like to say something for the veterans, if I can, that on Thanksgiving Day, a lot of the stores, a lot of the restaurants have free dinners for a veteran. So if you're a soldier in the service or a veteran, just bring your ID, find out where those places are, and go there and enjoy a good meal, too. So you can have two good meals, one at the church and one at one of the restaurants. So they won't be starving.
We do senior dinners several times a year, these special senior dinners. And one of them actually is going to be this Saturday. Too late to get the word out to everybody, unfortunately.
That's okay.
But one of the things that we do is we invite the folks from the Soldiers' Home to come down for this dinner. And so every year, every time we have one of these senior dinners, we have one for Thanksgiving time, Christmas time, one for Easter time. We get a nice delegation from the
Chelsea Soldiers
Home, and we always enjoy being able to honor veterans.
Right, and we should honor the veterans because they are the greatest generation. Not only the World War II veterans, but right up to the Afghan. Everyone that puts on an American uniform, he or she is the greatest generation because you never know what might happen to them. Talking about veterans, you have any veterans in your family?
Yeah, so I mentioned my son, who is a Navy veteran,
Is he still in the service?
No, he's not in the service now. But he was Navy. My father is a World War II Navy.
Tell us a little about your dad, because I'm a World War II veteran myself.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's been deceased for a long time. He died when he was 39 years old. It's very sad. But
very sad.
But he served 4 years on the Iowa, the battleship Iowa.
Well, yep.
Yeah, and he was in the Pacific Theater, and he was one of the youngest guys on the ship. he was a water tender down the bottom of the ship there. He said the battles were going on. He had no idea what was happening. The ship was rocking and rolling, and but he was way down there, many decks below the surface, and he never saw the light of day. So.
It's ironic, Reverend. Our enemies in World War II was Japan, Germany, and Italy. Those were the three Axis countries.
Yes.
Today they are our best allies, and our allies are World War II, like the Soviet Union. Well, I don't want to use adversaries. We just don't get along that good today.
You know, I think that was one of the brightest chapters in American history post-World War II, because instead of domineering our
Right.
former enemies, we helped them.
We had the Marshall Plan that
the
started
Marshall
right off
Plan.
the bat to feed them.
to help them, and you know, this is the way it should be. This is just wonderful, and I wish this could be happening today with former adversaries, that they would be reaching out like we did after World War II, because I think as America at its greatest moment, you know,
You're
so
right,
wonderful.
and I'd like to speak, if I may, to the Middle Eastern countries, like Egypt, like Iran, like Iraq, like Saudi Arabia, like Lebanon, like Kuwait. You could learn a lesson from us what to do after a war is over.
Yeah.
And not to have gone out and fighting and killing and keeping that going for years. There's places in the Middle East that have been in conflict because of religion, if I can use that word, like the Shiites and the Sunnis, for over 1,000 years. So they can learn from us. We are a great country. No, a matter of fact, we are the greatest country. There isn't any other country that does what we do.
I think the big thing there was that America was willing to forgive these countries that they'd been in conflict with. You know, I think the forgiveness was the key. You know, without the forgiveness, it wouldn't have happened. You know, there had to be forgiveness, and you know, it was not always easy for everybody to forgive the ones who had been our enemies.
Right.
But
a lot of people say, like, if I could use an expression that comes out of, we turn our left cheek, if I can use that word. Even though we got bombed by Japan on Pearl Harbor, look at us with Japan today, biggest ally in the Pacific.
That's right. Yeah.
By the way, we still got 6 minutes to go, so I want to use up another 3-4 minutes with you before I have to step in.
Sure.
There. So, any future plans for your church?
Oh yeah, yeah. And,
Let's have it.
But let me also tell you about some of the things we're currently doing and will continue to do.
Good.
So we have English classes at the church.
And the hours? Can anybody come?
Yes, although there's a waiting list for this right at the moment.
Okay.
We offer English classes Monday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to noon.
To people who speak the other language. Which one is it? Spanish? Or?
Any language. Any language. So we have people from over 10 countries that are in the classes.
Oh, in other words, if someone speaks Arabic and wants to learn English, he can come there?
That's right.
Or Chinese or any?
Whatever language they speak, they can come. So we've been doing this now for 3 or 4 years, and we offer it every semester. And we have about 60 students right now, but we have a waiting list. You know, we can't take any more at the moment. But we'll be starting classes fresh in the spring, and so it'll give an opportunity for other students to come in. Because in Revere, there are thousands of people who want to learn English, and there's not enough opportunities for them. So whenever we offer our classes, they're filled like that.
I could imagine, because my English ain't no good either.
Yeah.
That was my worst subject at school, by the way. I got to be honest with you.
But a lot of the ones we have are new to Revere, you know, and they're new to this country. And it's such a wonderful opportunity to be able to welcome them and to try to, you know, they want to learn the English language. And here we you know, they make friends with us and with each other too. They make friends with each other. These people from different countries become friends with each other, and it's really wonderful.
I got to tell you, when I go into the stores sometimes and people speak Spanish or some other language, they don't understand me, I don't understand them. Like if I want a hamburger, I bring a picture with me of the hamburgers. Like Wendy's, I do. Not plugging any particular store of Wendy's, but taking that over and showing them the picture sometimes, and I says, like, they'll look at me like they don't understand what I'm speaking or something. This is what I want, and then they understand me on that. But I don't understand their language. Sometimes they don't understand mine.
Oh, yeah. Well, Revere has become one of the most diverse communities in New England, I'm sure. You know, never mind around here. It's just, I think it's wonderful. The nations of the world have come to Revere, you know. And we have
That's true. We have, I mean, you go down Shirley Avenue. I mean, it's changed over the years.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a good, like you say, a diverse. And do you also have them at your church coming too?
Yes, we do.
Good.
Yep, we have people from... In our church, we probably have people from seven or eight different countries that are part of our church. Yeah.
Usually from Europe or the Pacific area?
Both. Yeah.
That's very good.
Both. We get both.
We got about 3 minutes left. Take 2 minutes and wrap it up for us.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say that I have loved being the pastor of the First Congregational Church. I've got a wonderful congregation. They're very supportive and encouraging, and I love the city of Revere. And our church has always been involved in the community. And what we try to do is we try to meet unmet needs. So if we see unmet needs in the community that we can do something about, that's what we try to do. And it's been our joy to do that, and we just love to being able to help in that way. And I'm just so blessed to be in this community, and I really thank God for sending me here.
I know you're going to show me up on this one, but that's good. You know how to work a computer or send email, correct?
I do.
Anytime you have something at a church, if you put it on an email and send it to Revere TV8, I'm sure they will put it on the screen for you. And that's not only for your church. Anyone out there that has something good for the community, fax it to Revere TV8 or reveretv.org, and they will put it on the scroll, and people will know exactly what to do, when to come, what time, and what you need.
That's great.
Now, before we close, I want to say it was an honor and a pleasure, Reverend, to have you come up here.
Thank you.
I've been trying to get you for years. And no, I have.
I know you have.
Okay. I mean, I'm 86 now. I think I was 35 or 40 when I first started.
It was about that. It was about that, yeah.
See what happened? I'm like a computer. You get old, you lose your memory, you know.
Well, I'm so glad you were willing to have me on.
It was an honor and a pleasure,
Thank
sir.
you.
And God, usually you say it to me, but I'll say it to you. God bless you for coming on here, and thank you very much. God bless our great city of Revere, especially our service people in the service,
yes,
and our great country, the United States of America. And you out there, if you have some person who's as good as the Reverend here, who would like to come on our show, please do. And thank you for listening.